when artists come in here to the studio, and it's your project, you're engineering and producing at the same time, basically most of the time. Like most of the engineers that work here, we're typically sitting at the console and we're patching stuff and we're running mic cables, we're doing all the things, but we're also kind of helping the band sort of produce their record, you know. To me, seeing what you've done over the years, it totally translates between, you know, all of the work that you've done with Noah in the past. There has to be a relationship with the artist in some way where the artist translates to you or me or whoever it is what their, you know, vision is. And then like sometimes we got to pull that out of them in a way that satisfies their, you know, artistic desires, so to speak, you know. So like how do you see that as well, you know, working with other artists that come in? How do you work through like trying to find the vision and trying to find the things that work together? Because you're exactly right. It's like, you can go to really any recording studio and hit the red button and get some stuff on tape, which is fine. That's great. You know, if you're a commercial recording studio, that's what you're here to do.
That's needed.
Yeah, but sometimes there's a relationship between the engineer / producer and the artist to where something just clicks sometimes. Yeah. And then after you do the first record, you and the artist are like, yeah, this is super cool. Let's do this again, you know. And it's not necessarily about a money thing and like booking more time. It's a kind of a thing to where like, this works right now. Let's do this on another song or another EP or whatever. Can you speak into a little bit about how you envision that when you're going into a project sometimes?
So that is the way I do that is probably a lot similar to some producers and not similar at all to other producers. So I don't know. I find the best way to get the artist's intention on tape or recorded is to actually know who the artist is and understand them. And it's maybe a heady response, but like if you don't understand subtle references in their lyrics or care to, then you don't need to be producing records, maybe. But I don't know. I guess another way of saying that is just like taking the time to get to know the person that you're working with and being vulnerable with them. And because the first thing is that artists, no matter if you're a painter or a musician or a sculptor or whatever it is, they're very self-critical usually. And it's a very vulnerable thing to share what they're doing with other people, much less someone they're paying.
Yeah.
Because then they have to decipher if you're bullshitting them or not. Yeah. So I do my best not to do that. And it just takes time. It's not like here's how I can get you to trust me so that we can make a record together. That's not what I'm saying. It's like if we have to spend 2 hours in a therapy session first.
Oh my gosh.
That's fine. Yeah. If it means that what we do at the end of the day, you are happy with.
Yeah.
And not just happy with, I mean like, oh, this is as I intended. This is how I heard it in my head, or this is how I've always whatever it is.
Yeah.
So that looks like a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So I can't like, that's just how I do it, which I guess is what you asked.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
But an example being, I won't name any names, but a few years ago, I started working with an artist, and he came into the studio in a terrible headspace and had some health issues going on and had some other issues outside of that going on, and was worried for whatever reason creatively about the project and like all these other things. And I'm sitting here, not met the guy before. I came in on this session, and I'm like, how the hell are we going to record a vocal that you like today when you just trauma dumped your whole, like that, which is fine. I want you to be comfortable enough to where you feel like you can do that. Yeah. But let's maybe work on this first and then we'll record a vocal. We did not record anything that day. He drove up here a few hours, I think, and didn't record anything. And it was just like, man, I'm sorry. It was just like, I'm like, man, you don't need to apologize. This is part of it. And if I'm going to be, I want to be able to do stuff in the future. I want to be able to be productive in the future and get what you want, get your art to a point of where, you're happy with it. And you can't do that if you're in here forcing it or trying to, I don't know. I'm rambling at this point, I think.
No, it's fine. But like what you and I are a lot of alike that I have learned over the years, and the fact that like when artists come in, independent solo artists or bands or whatever it is, like there's a relational part of the way that specifically you and I approach all of these things. And I've told interns and young folks this 1,000 times who want to do kind of what we do for a living. You have to treat people well, in my humble opinion. And that means like, listen to them, make them feel like you care. What's the phrase I tell the young folks a lot of times? It's like, you got to treat people like it was your mama or your grandma. Like you would want them to be treated. Yep. And to me, that kind of relationship with artists who are coming into your studio for production is going to get you a long way in the process overall in general. Yep. Because I think the artist is going to be super comfortable. They're going to feel like they do trust you. Yep. And they feel like you give a crap about what they're doing, and it's not necessarily just another paycheck or whatever, however you want to look at it. I mean, like when artists that we work with come in, I truly do want them to be like super pumped about what the final product is going to be, and the process, making sure the process goes well. There's no
also like
conflict and all that.
In the process, like to where there's not ever a time where they're like, oh man, I'm kind of
because that's a huge a huge hurdle that I've been in some scenarios sometimes where like you feel like there's a ton of tension for some reason, and there doesn't have to be like, and that's another part of engineering that is sort of my personal philosophy, in the fact that like, you got a 6-piece band coming in. Yeah. That's for some studios and engineers and producers, that's literal chaos immediately when the door opens. Mm-hmm. But like, I guess I've been doing this long enough to where it's like, it's just another day. Yeah. And like, we already know we have enough seat time to where like, we automatically know like what's going to happen and how it needs to happen and where to plug everything up. And, how it's, and some of it to me from the engineering producing standpoint behind the glass is like kind of knowing you're reading the room a little bit and like understanding 100%. How to talk to the people who are in the session with you. And it's like, because sometimes I can tell when a vocalist like wants me to be super critical and, push them through their vocal. Mm-hmm. And then there's times when a vocalist comes in and they are crushing it. And you're just like, hey man, don't do anything different. Yeah. You're crushing it. Yeah. Let's get it. And then you might have like I guess I'm going to pick on guitar players for a second, but you might have
easy to pick on.
You might have a timid guitar player or something. And it's like, dude, you can, be encouraging. Yeah. There's, I don't know, man.
However you can fill the artist with confidence, I feel like is the best thing.
And
and if you are timid and if you feel overwhelmed or something like that, it's better to just slow way down. and like just take one thing at a time, and people will understand that.
Sure.
Then once you get going, red button is the red button.